All right, all right. Welcome this evening to Kingdom Lum, Small Town Underground. And it is a Saturday night, May the 11th. Another one of our candidate conversations. We will be doing a double whammy this evening. Sitting next to me is Mrs. Carrie Blackwell, who is running for the coroner position of Chattooga County. And later on this evening, I'll be posting. We have Josie Cruz coming in studio with us. We were going to do a pre-recorded show, and she wanted to come up here and do a live stream. So, looking very forward to having Josie up here with us. And so we're just going to keep knocking these out. We've got, another week or so. It's the 11th. We got till the 21st for primary. So we're going to do all we can to bring as much information to you as possible. I really appreciate the donations that are coming through. You guys are helping make the show stronger. I'm fixing to get into some new equipment, new camera. So if you feel that you could donate, it's givesendgo.com/smalltownunderground. It really is making a difference. I absolutely hate even asking, but it's a necessary thing to keep the show going. So we appreciate everybody and all the support. You guys are really making a huge difference in support, and we'll keep doing great shows. Got a lot of stuff coming up, especially after primary. We're gonna hit the ground running. But tonight we're gonna find out all about the coroner. So I'm actually really excited about this episode. It'll be a little bit different change of pace because I'm sure not all of us know all about coroners. So first off, why don't you tell our audience who you are, kind of your story, where you're from, what you're deciding to run for coroner, and we'll go from there. Okay?
Okay, it's good to be here. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, my name's Carrie Blackwell. I'm originally from Colorado. We moved out here about 5 years ago, and I have not been working in the field of forensics or coroner work at all. I've been raising my family, doing homeschool.
There we go.
When I was a teenager is when I first found out about forensic science, and I loved it then. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I went on to college. I went to the University of Colorado, and I got my degree in biology, and my minor was in forensic science because that was the most they offered then.
Okay.
When I got out of there, I basically I kept talking to the coroner's office in my county until finally a job opened up, and I started as the office administrator.
Okay.
And worked in that job for about a year until a investigator position opened up, and then that's when I became an investigator.
Gotcha.
So I worked there for a little over 8 years, and then I got married, and my husband and I moved to Las Vegas.
Wow. Okay.
And when we went to Las Vegas, they had a supervisor position open at their coroner's office, which
I would imagine a coroner position in somewhere like Chattooga is a lot different than Las Vegas.
It's a lot different. And, I was like, I'm going to go for it. So
Sure.
applied for the supervisor position, and they already had someone internally they wanted to promote to that. But they liked my experience, and even though they weren't even hiring, they still made a spot for me on their investigator team.
Wow.
And
That's
so
impressive.
it was really exciting because I've always loved CSI and all that.
Sure.
And so that was a great year and really busy. Obviously they're high volume.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Everything's high volume there. But did that for about a year, and then we found out we were expecting a child. So we were like, we don't want to raise a kid in Las Vegas.
Understood.
So we came back to Colorado. I took a few years off. I had 2 children. And then I was asked in Clear Creek County, a friend of mine, he was the coroner. He asked me to be he was just elected coroner, asked me to be his chief deputy.
Okay.
So then I worked a little over 2 years as a chief deputy. Then we decided to get out of Colorado.
Gotcha.
Because of the way the state was going.
Sure, I understand.
Downhill really fast. And so we relocated out here 5 years ago.
Out to Chattooga County, Georgia. I got you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, question about the investigator. You were an investigator for the coroner's office, right?
Right.
So that's, I guess that'd be a little bit different than like a regular investigator at the sheriff's department or anything, because you're primarily dealing with like
Just
bodies,
death
right?
investigation.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's called medical legal death investigator.
Right.
So,
I gotcha. All right.
So-
Well, cool. So I want you to break down what exactly does the coroner do? Like what the roles and how the coroner, what all is about? Just tell us about the coroner position.
So any death is reported to the coroner.
Okay.
So what happens after that, it kind of depends. If someone's in hospice and it's expected, or they're in, the hospital, have cancer, something like that, usually it's just reported to us. We take that information over the phone, and if there's no concerns, the nurses are, don't have any concerns, whatever, that's kind of the end of it.
Gotcha.
And we sign the death certificate. If it's anything that's unattended by a doctor, any accidental, suspicious of, of violence or anything like that, basically anything not attended by a doctor
Right.
or not expected, we would go out to the scene.
Okay.
We may collect evidence, photograph things, take the person, to either the morgue to wait until we decide if there's going to be an autopsy. If there's an autopsy, we make sure that gets done. Here they go down to Forsyth, I think, the GBI.
Right.
In Colorado, each coroner's office did their own autopsies. We had a doctor that came around and did it.
Okay.
But and I used to assist in autopsies. And so it kind of depends on there what exactly happened. And then it always finishes up with signing the death certificate.
Wow. Okay.
So,
Now, let's see. What if there's is there any difference in any of this if there's like foul play, or if this is some sort of like criminal investigation? So does it change anything?
it really doesn't change anything because, you're taught to look at every death as if it could be a murder.
Okay.
Because a lot of times you get one shot at collecting evidence, So if you approach that scene wrong or move too fast and you miss something, you've already tainted the evidence.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so you kind of treat them all like they could be a homicide.
I see.
If it is a homicide, most of the time, like going into it, that's what it is. It's not that you really do anything different, but it takes a lot longer.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because they move very slowly to make sure all of that is done correctly.
I'd imagine so. You probably wouldn't want to speed up any kind of
Yeah.
situation like that. So,
Yeah.
What
you
is
don't want to
some?
be that guy responsible for OJ.
Oh
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, do you have any like stories that a couple that stick out in your head over the years in your experience that were just crazy, or anything that you can talk about?
Well, some of the more, I don't know, I guess unusual cases is I've had 2 plane crashes.
Wow.
And they were small planes.
Okay, so like
one had 2 passengers, one had 1 passenger. So really like little Cessna type planes. But those are really, they take a long time. But you get things like the FAA involved, and you have to wait till they get there and they fly in. So you're waiting a long time.
And that's nothing can be touched?
No, no.
Okay, wow.
The one that I worked, we had to take we call them a snowcat, but I don't know what they call them out here since there's no snow.
Oh, a
But with the
snowmobile,
belted
basically.
wheels, like 45 minutes out into the wilderness
Wow.
on one of those things, and it was just pouring rain, and we were out there for like 8 hours in the rain until the FAA got there, and then we could start on the scene. So
Wow.
it can be pretty extreme conditions.
Yeah, that would
Pretty
be
extreme.
wild. You're at a crash site and having to wait hours and not touch anything, not do anything like that. Just that's wild, man. So,
And that one, there was a question of whether it was Native American owned land. And so we had to wait for someone from, I can't remember exactly what the office was, but someone from the Native American
like the
government.
tribal council, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
to make sure that the land wasn't disturbed in certain ways. And I mean, you never know what you're going to get into with
Yeah.
it, but there's been some pretty interesting things like that.
Wow. That's cool. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I know a little bit about coroners from the work that I do and everything, but it's just it's a little fascinating kind of a job to think about, that what you have to do and what you have to normalize in your life. Especially like first responders or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
pretty wild. So I imagine you've probably looked into the statistics around the area. It's probably a lot slower, I would say. Of course, death is always a part of life, but
But yeah, yeah, I've looked into it. I think it's the 2022 reporting. There's about 400 deaths in Chattooga County.
yeah. Okay,
So,
gotcha.
yeah, a little over one a day average, but it never really, it never goes that way exactly.
Right.
But
Exactly.
so it's this county is about it's almost double the size of the county that I was chief deputy in.
Okay, that makes sense, right? In Colorado. Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But the county that I first started in, it had about 350,000 people.
Wow. Okay.
So,
Wow.
so I'm
Man.
used to bigger counties, but I have worked small counties too.
Well, that's cool, man. So, is this something you always wanted to get into, or like you said, I know you went to school and
Yep.
everything, so that's cool.
Yep. When I was 13, I read this book about, it was just a fiction novel, but it was about this woman who was a forensic pathologist. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Right.
And yeah.
I've got several friends that love the criminal justice system and like crime scene investigations, stuff like that. And of course, being a bail bondsman, I've done private investigation and we do bounty hunting, all that stuff. So it's crazy, what we get into and things, but that's wild. So I was trying to remember a statistic because I've talked to a couple coroners, like, Chattooga County, of course, it's, like you said, about 400 a year. They said, I think Whitfield County is probably the busiest coroner, and it's mainly because of the interstate
Yeah.
that's going through there. So obviously they have to handle wrecks and stuff like that. So that's pretty wild. So, so what do you're coming to this position because obviously you've got the experience and everything. Is there anything that you have been looking at in Chattooga that can be done better or things like that?
To be honest, I have not heard any problems with how things run.
Right.
And I don't know, I don't work with them, so I don't
Sure.
I don't really know of any problems, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. I've talked to Earl Rainwater, the coroner now, and kind of know how they work things like with transportation and things like that. And it sounds like they have a good system in place.
Okay.
Down the line, if our population changed and deaths became more, we got more deaths per year, then things might have to change a little bit to accommodate that. But it sounds like they have a pretty good system.
That's good. That's good. I mean, I don't ever hear a whole lot coming out from coroners departments. I mean, I would think that it would have to be some crazy circumstances to be outside of your job description title or doing something crazy like that. So as far as I know, our coroners here in Walker have always been pretty stand-up people. So
Yeah.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, generally, is not hearing about the coroner's offices.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
good,
no
it
news
means
is
they're
good
doing
news.
good. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Usually hear about it when it's some kind of scandal or something going wrong. And
right. Well, that's cool. All right. Well, we've got a few. Okay. Tim Feather says, this is from our comments. He says, "Woot, Carrie." Sharon Holland, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here. And Bobby Flowers says, "Best candidate for the job." So
nice.
you definitely
Thank you.
sound like you have the experience for everything. Is there anything I'm leaving out?
I can't really think of anything.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? You
It
show up
is.
there.
It
You have
is.
to deal with the bodies, of course, the loss of life, and then make sure that they get to their respected positions and that everything gets checked out right.
Yeah, and it takes a long time to be really a confident investigator because
Sure.
a lot can be riding on it, and again, nobody wants to be that guy
Right.
that messed something up, and then a case could get lost in court.
Right.
That's like the worst case scenario, and so it does take a long. I think for someone to take over as the coroner, they need a lot of experience, and I was lucky that I had really great people that mentored me in my first job and trained me, and
Sure. And I'm sure you've gotten some. Well, you mean different areas. You talk about Vegas and Colorado. I'm sure things are a whole lot different. So you've probably got a huge scope of this job, in all different capacities. So, how was the autopsy part? Was that something easy to get into, or did it require you a little bit of time and getting used to that kind of thing?
It's kind of like any other medical field,
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Right.
And you learn to have a clinical side of it
Sure.
because there's obviously things that are tough, like children or
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't even think about that.
homicides. There's some stuff that can be tough, but it really is like any other medical field where you're a surgeon. You just gotta
You just got to do it.
yeah.
Kinda
And
dig
so,
it. Okay.
but it does take some getting used to like compartmentalize it.
Yeah, right. There you go. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I don't know where else we can really go, but I think that you sound like a great candidate for the job.
Well, thank you.
Obviously you bring some experience to the table, and it sounds like you would be a benefit to the county. So,
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I
how
hope so.
how can people get in touch with you? How can they help you? We have a few days left. Do you have a website or anywhere that they can go?
I have a page on Facebook, and
Okay.
it's Carrie Blackwell for Coroner or for Chattooga Coroner
Okay.
because I had to make 2 pages. And really, just if you think I'm a good candidate, just tell people.
Wow.
That's the thing that can help me the most is the word of mouth getting around.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't, I don't have thousands and thousands of dollars like the big guys do for campaigns, but in our small community, word of mouth is the best way.
Sure, and it's in being, we oftentimes, especially in politics or running for office, we everybody's trying to problem solve, and everybody's trying to find ways to get that edge over. And to me, something like this, like I can. I've done some research on you. I mean, like you obviously care about the job, and this is about
Yeah.
more than running for a position,
Yeah.
as it is like, hey, this is a corner, and that's a breath
Yeah.
of fresh air. It really is. So
Yeah. Well,
I
this
really
is
like
the
it.
next step in my career.
Gotcha.
I did the investigator, I did the chief deputy, and this is the next step up.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds cool.
It's a little risky for someone with no experience to come in and just become
Right.
president of a company when they,
Yeah.
haven't worked their way up.
Right.
This is kind of the same thing. It's like, this is the next step in my career. And so that's why I want to take it, is because I've been doing this for 20 some years now. And, this is the
Absolutely.
natural progression for me.
That's awesome. All right. Well, that is great. So I want you to have your time here. I want you to talk to the audience, tell them why they need to vote for you. I mean, you've pretty much said it, but I'm still going to let you do it anyway. So
Okay. Well, like I just said, I've got the experience. This is what I've been doing. This has been my life for the last 20 some years. This is what I love to do. If I don't get this position, I will try to find a job in a coroner's office. That's what I'll keep doing. And if I don't get it, maybe someday I'll run again. But no matter what, this is my career, and it's what I'll keep doing.
gotcha.
And I'd really love to do it for this county, because I do love our community. It's really great. I've met a lot of great people. I'd love to meet more and become more of a part of it. But the biggest thing you can do to help is to just spread the word that I have a lot of experience and I would be a good candidate if you think so.
That's awesome, guys. Hey, she's right, Chattooga County. We love our neighbors in Chattooga County.
Yes.
And at Carrie Blackwell, I urge all of my viewers to share this with all their Chattooga County constituents. You heard it here first. She's got a lot of experience, and it's a breath of fresh air to talk about something other than a political race. So we appreciate the time that you've allowed
Thank
me to
you.
interview. And,
I really appreciate you taking
yeah.
the time for me. I really do.
like I said, that's what we're here for. And you guys, like I said, it's going to be a double whammy. We're going to have Josie Cruz. It's probably going to be closer to 10 o'clock. She's coming from Atlanta. She wanted to be here in person, and we'll do another live with her. and I've got a few more of them I'm going to try to squeeze in for the 21st, but make no mistake, every single vote counts. You must get out and you must vote your conscience and vote for who you think is going to be the best to represent we, the people. So I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys back here in a little while.